I'm Lily, a 32-year-old woman, working full-time. After I graduated from university, I started a job at a small company, but my professional life changed 5 years ago when that company was merged with a listed company. I used to work for a very low salary, but now my salary was increased to match the standards of the larger company. My boyfriend, Jake, who was 3 years older than I, was genuinely happy for me when I got my pay rise. He knew that I was mentally and physically exhausted from my old job, as I had to work evenings and weekends with no penalty rates. He would often tell me, "Quit that job. Marry me instead." But I couldn't make up my mind to leave the company, thinking it would impose an unreasonable burden on other employees. With my improved work environment and salary increase after the merger, Jake must have been so relieved. He proposed to me, and shortly after that, we got married. I told Jake that I wanted to continue working since I was fortunate enough to work for such a large company. Jake agreed, as he was dissatisfied with our rental apartment and wanted to buy a condo as soon as possible. However, the initial excitement of a higher salary and working for a reputable company only lasted for a short time. The employees at the large company were all incredibly talented, having gone through the rigorous screening processes, which made someone like myself feel out of place. In the beginning, they were showing empathy for my situation, but within a month, my lack of skills became apparent to everyone in my department, and I was left with only menial tasks. Some people might think they would be easy jobs with no responsibility, but shredding piles of documents, or scanning dusty, years-old documents and saving them in the computer every day made me feel incompetent. One morning, I had a chance to say something during the team meeting. I said, "I've been relying too much on all of you. Starting today, I'm going to try my hardest, so I humbly request you for guidance in my work." My colleagues were very strict but kind. From that day, they started teaching me the ropes. I seized every opportunity to learn and gradually began to be entrusted with more responsibilities. My efforts were finally recognized and applauded by my boss. Soon after that, I was allowed to participate in larger projects, which led to more salary increase. I was truly happy. However, Jake seemed not to enjoy my gradual success. He most likely felt neglected by me since I started working hard. I wasn't doing any overtime, but I was always too exhausted to do anything after I came home. Of course, I tried to make time for us on weekends. But when Jake knew that I was earning more than he did, he began to express his displeasure openly. Desperately, I tried to make him feel better, saying, "I only make a little bit more than you. The more you earn, the higher your rate of tax is, and the more tax you will have to pay." But Jake took whatever I said the wrong way. He would retort angrily, "Are you bragging about your working at a listed company and earning more? Or, you say only a little bit more, but that a little bit sounds a lot for a regular employee like me, who is working for a small company." Eventually, he would retreat to his study, saying, "I know you are so busy. Please, leave me alone and just focus on your work." I'd never imagined that my earning $200 a month more than Jake would cause such a drastic change in him. I regretted showing him my payslip, but at the same time, I was shocked to find out he was such a petty and jealous man. Or is this how all men are? I asked myself. A quick search on the computer brought up numerous stories, similar to mine. Apparently, men get stressed when their wives earn more than they do. They become insecure and start constantly picking fights with their wives, they quit their jobs or become big spenders, and so on. Some marriages even end in divorce. That was very alarming. I did some more reading and found that many men take pride in having a wife whose abilities and skills are recognized by society, think it's wonderful to have a wife who earns well in a job she loves, and appreciate the financial stability that brings. One survey showed that less than 30% of men felt uncomfortable having a wife who earned more than they did. When I spoke with my father about Jake's reactions to my salary increase, he became furious. He said, "What a pathetic man Jake is. Doesn't he know how hard you've worked to get to where you are now? You should divorce him. Stop wasting your time on him." I had to admit that Jake really was a pathetic man. And I realized my love for him was fading, which was sad because we had only been married for 4 years. I remembered how supportive he was when my working conditions were very poor before the company merger. Plus, there was the mortgage on the condo we bought 2 years ago. I was wondering what to do when Jake suddenly came out of his study and snapped at me condescendingly, "You have been slack with the housework lately. You hardly cook, clean, or do laundry properly, yet you brag about your income. I was irritated, but it was true that I had been cutting corners. I would often heat frozen meals for dinner and did cleaning and laundry only on weekends, so the house was never really tidy. On weekends, I would spend most of my time preparing a week's worth of dinners in advance. I bought a robot vacuum cleaner with my own money. I also purchased a washer and dryer combo. But that only upset him even more. Wow, showing off how hard you work on weekends, doing domestic chores. Very impressive. Must be nice to make so much money. You are able to afford the machines that do everything for you. I thought to myself, enough is enough. Eventually, I got tired of arguing with Jake and thought it would be better for us to separate from each other temporarily. If the relationship couldn't be repaired, then unfortunately, that would be the end of our marriage. I quickly found a studio apartment for rent and told Jake about it. Then he snapped, getting cocky just because you earn more than I do. Then he took my bank card out of my purse, cut it in half with a pair of scissors, and held the pieces up so I could see them. See what I have done? He looked at me triumphantly and gave me a sneering laugh. Seeing him like that, I honestly thought he was an idiot. I wasn't using that card anymore anyway. It was already expired. Hearing that, Jake turned red and threw the pieces of my card at me, then retreated back to his study. Oh, my goodness. He wasn't the same person I fell in love with. My father was right about Jake, a pathetic man. He never even tried to make his life better, but became very jealous when others seemed to be doing well. I packed up all my stuff and left the condo. Living on my own was truly enjoyable. I could sleep in on the weekends, accept overtime work when asked, get a takeaway if I was too tired to cook. Now that I didn't have a man-child around, I was able to focus more on my job, and several months later, I was offered a supervisor position at the age of 32. I had a huge pay rise, earning 50% more than Jake. The only downside was that I wouldn't get paid for overtime, but it didn't really matter since it was only a few hours a week I would stay back. Nearly 1 year had passed since Jake and I were separated. I tried to contact him multiple times, but didn't receive any responses from him. Having no choice, I went back to our condo on one Saturday to talk directly to him. As soon as I opened the front door, I saw Jake and a woman cuddling naked in the living room. What the hell are you doing here? You can't just come in here without permission. He panicked, scrambling around trying to gather their clothes on the floor. Why not? This is my home too. Even if we're separated, that doesn't change. Though I was initially shocked to see them naked, I quickly regained my composure and coldly told the woman, you know, the couch you're sitting on, I bought that. Watching her hastily getting up from the couch, I smiled at Jake and said, you can buy that couch off me if you want. It's filthy now and I don't want to use it anymore. Then I pulled out a business card out of my purse and said to him, here is my lawyer's number. You will hear from him within a few days. Let's get divorced. On hearing this, Jake smirked and said, are you sure you're really okay with this? Of course. I've got to go now. How about we meet next Wednesday after work to discuss the details? I suggested, and Jake quickly agreed. I have no intention of leaving this condo, as we're getting divorced because of you. You insulted me. So it's fair to say that I take it. On the following Wednesday, I met Jake at a cafe near the condo. When I got there, he was already sitting at a table, looking victorious. As I silently stared at his face, he said, the condo is in your name, right? Poor you, having to continue paying the mortgage even after being kicked out. I'm so glad I earn less. Yes, when we bought the condo, I was already earning a lot more than Jake. The bank said they would approve the mortgage if it was in my name, so I bought it under my name. I couldn't help but laugh as I asked him. You really are stupid, aren't you? Do you really think you deserve that condo? How much mortgage do you think I've been paying for it? I also made sure that he knows, since he never paid a dime for the mortgage, maintenance, or monthly fees of the condo, and since I was paying most of the living expenses when we were together, he wouldn't be entitled to any property division. Jake was taken aback, having no doubt his demands would be met. Not sure if my lawyer has called you yet. According to him, I'll be the one who gets the condo, and also you owe me quite a lot of money for all the living expenses I had been paying when we were together. After hearing that, Jake's face turned red, he slammed his fist on the table, and stood up. He was about to walk off when I asked him, "Where do you think you're going?" "I'm going back home. To the condo. I'm not leaving." Jake answered angrily. "That's fine. Do whatever you want to do, but I think my parents have finished moving in by now and are relaxing there." "What?" I suggested to my parents to move into the condo since their house was getting old. "Probably, all your stuff has been thrown outside. My dad was really angry at you." I had asked Jake to meet me that evening because it was the day my parents were moving in. Jake just stood there and looked at me, shocked. "If you really intend to stay there, go ahead. But just so you know, it'll be considered trespassing, so my father will most likely call the police right away." It gave me great satisfaction when I saw Jake's shoulders slumped and his mouth trembled. After rushing back to the condo, Jake was indeed shocked to find all his belongings thrown out in the outside trash area. He only grabbed what he really needed from the pile of his stuff and left. I heard that he went straight to that woman's place. As I was very annoyed that he left the couch, which they were cuddling on, outside the condo, I added its $5,000 value to the bill I sent him through my lawyer. I heard, stuck in heavy debt, Jake and his girlfriend had to work from morning till night, both doing a few different jobs. Meanwhile, I moved back into the condo, enjoying living with my parents. I'm still working hard, but I'm loving it. It seems that I will be able to live a peaceful life from now on.